Hello, beautiful gamers. We are the Video Gamers Podcast, hosted by three lifelong gamers, and today we have a Hijack a Host episode for you all. Crazy, we've had so many of these lately. I am your host, Paul, and joining me, he is our polymath, which apparently is a person of wide-ranging knowledge, because he's the only one that knows what game and what host is going to have to play it. It's Josh.
I thought you were insulting me for a second, Paul, because I have never heard the term polymath in my life.
You dirty polymath.
I've lived a long life. So, polymath. I feel like that's somebody who would be good at multiple types of math.
You would think. Yeah, I just Googled person who knows a lot, and it said...
It was a picture of me?
Polymath. No.
Oh, dang it.
Nice
so there
try.
you go. That's your
vocabulary lesson of the day.
Vocabulary lesson. Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Goodness gracious.
And all right. Our resident idiot, Ryan. Oh, no.
We know who's not a polymath.
Yep. Joining Josh and me, you may as well call both him and me Jon Snow, because we both know nothing. It's Ryan.
I know nothing.
I don't think that's a quote from the show, but I like it.
It is now.
Yeah. Is that not a thing? You know nothing, Jon Snow?
Well, that's what she says. I don't remember John ever going, I know nothing, but maybe he does.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
All right. So for any listeners who may not know, we kind of switched up our format of how we do deep dives a couple months back. We have what we call Force a Friend, where basically we just take turns. We pick a game. We pick another host. They have to play it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And it's been a lot of fun, I think, because sometimes it's nice when someone just says, here's what you have to play. And normally I wouldn't play it. And I think we've all kind of discovered hidden gems. Sometimes we get picked for a game that doesn't jive so well, but it's always at least interesting. I think it's created a lot of fun discussions. And today we have a modified version of Force a Friend because we have been hijacked by someone on Patreon. We owe a huge thank you to AceofShame, who has been mentioned a lot on the show, but he signed up for legendary status on Patreon, which is the highest tier of support. It's $100. There are lower options starting at $5 a month, and all supporters get bonus episodes, shout out on the show, all kinds of perks. And since Ace went legendary, that means that he gets to take over an episode for us. He has picked a game. He has picked a host. We do not know what the game is. We do not know the host, although we know it's not Josh.
Not me.
Because Ace gave the information to him.
That's right. It's not me.
So we are going to find out this information on the show. We're going to put on our Bill O'Reilly hats. We're going to do it live.
Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Josh, I'm guessing that you are ecstatic because I feel like you really like being in the know.
It is really fun. We've all been there, and it is really nice to be the one that has the power, that has the knowledge to kind of, make the other two squirm a little bit. It's like, I know what you're going to have to play. And then, when you're one of the hosts that you're up to get picked, there is definitely like a nervous energy, but a little bit of like weird excitement at the same time. I mean, I think this is why we enjoy this format so much. Otherwise, we would have axed it a long time ago. You know what I mean? It's like, This sucks, guys. Why do we keep doing this? But I mean, I don't know. How do you guys feel like when you know that you have the possibility of getting hijacked? Like, it's not me. I'm sitting easy tonight,
Yeah.
But what is that feeling?
It's definitely you do get a little antsy because it could be anything, and we have no idea. It could be a really long game, could be a really short game, like SpongeBob that you got, but you can still have a blast with it. I just hope that whatever is picked, it is not me, so I can continue dispensing liberty across the galaxy forever and ever.
Ryan's been lobbying just for us to be a Helldivers 2 podcast, and that's all we cover. I think Ryan just wants us to keep yelling, how about a cup of liberty over and over, and he'd be happy. I feel like it's win-win. I love it. If someone picks me to play a game, I feel honored. I feel like they want to hear what I have to say about it, so that's fun. And if they pick someone else, and if it's a great game, I'm just going to pick it up and play it with them. So I feel like it's win-win no matter what. And of course, it feels good when people help support the show. By the way, I guess I should have thrown out the URL. If you want to sign up for Patreon, it's multiplayersquad.com.
You mentioned something, Paul, and this is the funny part, is I'm chilling tonight. I don't have to play this game. I don't have to worry if it's me. I don't have to worry about, okay, well, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be playing something that I don't know. But at the same time, when you don't get picked, you're kind of like, well, why didn't you pick me?
What's wrong with me?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a weird like catch-22. It's like you don't necessarily want to get forced into it, but then when somebody doesn't pick you, you're kind of like, well, what the heck, man?
And I promise, Paul, one of these days you'll get to do your Force a Friend.
Oh, I've given up on it entirely. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah, it's been so long that I just straight up told Ryan the next game I'm going to pick for him if we ever get back to just actually being able to pick each other at that point.
We have threatened Ryan with Force of Friends for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and what was the one you were saying Ring. For him? Elden Ring, that's right. There you go. So we were kind of talking about what games we've been forced to play, and it's kind of worked out pretty even so far, which is nice. All of us have been forced to do 3. We do have another another Hijack host that we have not yet recorded that someone's working on. So all of us have either 3 or 4. And I had the privilege of playing Fortnite as one of my Force of Friends or Hijacks. I also had The Witness and Edge of Nowhere. Josh, I believe you had Metal Gear Solid 5, which was a lot of fun to talk about. Torchlight 2 and SpongeBob.
Yep.
Ryan, you've had Ghostbusters, Endless Dungeon, and Subnautica.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a favorite game that you've been forced to play so far?
I do. Mine for sure was me and Josh with the big old Bug Mama on Endless Dungeon.
Yeah. That was a fun game, man. I picked that
fun.
one up on my own, and then thankfully Ryan was forced to play it and wound up loving it. That's the beauty of this format. For me, I have to give it to Metal Gear Solid 5. I really had a ton of fun with SpongeBob, but Metal Gear Solid 5 was it's one of those iconic games that I just missed somehow, and it was my first introduction kind of back into the Metal Gear Solid series, and that game was great, dude, so I have to give it to that one.
Plus, it would just seem, no shade thrown at SpongeBob. If someone's like, SpongeBob's a way better game than Metal Gear Solid 5, I might have to bristle against that a little bit. That just sounds wrong.
A little bit.
Yeah. I think for mine, I would probably say Edge of Nowhere. Busting out the Quest 2 and getting to do some VR. I think I would probably say that. I really enjoyed The Witness as well. I liked all my games. Fortnite was fun. We all know what Fortnite is, and just having a chance to jump in and play it. I was a little surprised
by how much I enjoyed Fortnite, to be honest. I'm not saying it's still installed on my computer, because it's not. But it caught me off guard. That was another one that we all jumped into and I found more enjoyable than I would have thought.
It's not installed, but Josh would reinstall it immediately if we said we were playing.
Yeah, I'm not missing out on fun times, but yeah, exactly.
All right, well, Josh, since you're the person in the know, you are the show's polymath, as we established. Why don't we just toss things your way and what you got for us?
I'm still not sure I like that term, man. Okay, so like you touched on this briefly, Paul, but you guys do not know which of you is getting picked. You have zero clue about the game that is getting picked for one of you as well. We do all this live. We do not share this information beforehand, which makes it fun for you guys and makes it fun for the listeners. But in that vein, I'd like to tease things just a little bit too, to kind of build up a little bit of the excitement, a little bit of the hype behind it, So a little teaser. What if I told you that I know for a fact that neither one of you have ever played this game, or in fact that you have never played any of the game in the entire series? So this game will be absolutely brand new to the 3 of us.
Wow. I'm trying to think what could be a long running series that for sure that we've never played.
All I know is
we've played a lot of games between you and me, Ryan.
It's not Final Fantasy. Yes.
That does exclude Final Fantasy to Ryan's delight.
Yeah, we know it's not going to be Elder Scrolls. It's not GTA. I'm okay. I'm getting kind of curious.
Okay. Well, let's tease it a little bit more then. Ryan may not like this part so much, but I will say that this game is an RPG. Which famously, Paul, you and I love RPGs. Ryan?
Favorite genre?
Yeah, I think it's my favorite genre too. That does not mean that all of them land for me, and I know they don't all land for you either, Paul. But Ryan, you're the one that has kind of gone like, oh, I don't really like RPGs that much. But then you have Skyrim in your like top, I think it's at number 2 all time for you.
I got it at I think it's a little further. Oh, my
your all time. Your personal top 10. Yeah, I think you have it at number 2.
Oh, yeah.
So, which is an RPG, Ryan. So explain yourself.
Ryan's got. Oh, hold on. Ryan's got some RPGs in his top 10.
All RPGs are not the same.
Yeah, Ryan's got Diablo 2. He's got The Witcher 3. He's got Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
So you like action RPGs, Ryan? You don't like the more traditional RPGs?
Yeah, I'm not a big kind of traditional or like turn-based style like RPG type games or anything like that, you know.
Okay. So when you hear the fact that Ace picked a game and that it's an RPG, does that make you nervous?
Maybe a little bit, because one, if I've never played it, that's surprising to me. Any game within the series, if there's a lot of releases within it, that's surprising. And then two, those typically tend to be longer games, so we might be on the hook for a little while on whoever gets forced.
Okay, all right, but it doesn't like instill like mass fear in you then, because you're open to the idea.
Yeah. As long as I just am not forced to play anything like Pacific Drive again, I'm good.
Oh man,
I'm so glad we're
still fresh off that recording.
Yeah. Although this one won't be releasing for a little while, but we did just in real life play Pacific Drive.
Okay, so Paul, I mean, I know you love RPGs. What is it about RPGs that does resonate with you?
Oh, I like that question. More than anything, I love storytelling. I mean, you guys know this. I am a huge TV and movie buff. I love video games. To me, there's nothing better than having great storytelling when it's immersive, like in video games. I like being able to play as someone, and RPGs in particular, I prefer to play games that are third person when I play as an established character. I want to be Commander Shepard in Mass Effect, or I want to be Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher. I have nothing against playing games where you create your own character and you play. I mean, I love Cyberpunk. I love tons of games like that. But for me, RPG storytelling is the peak of gaming. The best RPGs for me beat out the best shooters, the best puzzle games, even multiplayer. Like for me, nothing can substitute great storytelling through RPG formats.
That's fair. That's good.
Not that I'm at risk of being picked here, but for me, RPGs, I love progression in games. I like starting off as this little no-name character that, you know, is thrown into some... Yeah, like honestly, like I'm hitting a rat with a stick, and then by the end of my adventure...
Like in real life.
I mean, I have a BB gun for that, but but yeah, then by the end of my adventure, I'm this, you know, godlike character that is taking on dragons or whatever. I like that progression element to it and feeling like my character is getting stronger, but a good story is very important. It's funny you touched on the story part, Paul, because the last teaser that I'm going to throw out there before we actually get to the game reveal and the host reveal is that Ace picked this particular game because of the story involved in this game.
Okay.
Now, I will say that, you know, I was chatting with Ace a lot, and he wants to see if the story of a game can make an entire game for somebody. And Ace knows this very well. He knows that story is, you know, your favorite thing. And with Ryan loves Red Dead Redemption 2 more than I do. And that's partly because of the incredible story. So in Ryan's case, maybe this isn't a game that he would naturally gravitate to, but if it has an incredible story involved, could that sway Ryan's opinion of an RPG? And in the same vein for you, Paul, what if it's a game where maybe the gameplay won't resonate 100% with you, but the story is so incredible that Ace is kind of going, well, put your money where your mouth's at, Paul. If you're saying story is the cream of the crop for you, can it carry a game for you that may not be like up your alley?
Oh, that's interesting. See, I would say absolutely story can carry a game. I know that, like, Josh, you and I have talked about this a little bit, not even all that long ago. I said I am perfectly fine playing a game that has a fantastic story and bad gameplay. Or not even necessarily bad. Gameplay I don't enjoy. And I'll give you a perfect example. Baldur's Gate 3 and Divinity Original Sin 2. Two games that are beloved. They are practically unimpeachable in public opinion. I love the stories and the choices. I do not enjoy the combat of those games. It's inventive. It's well made. I get it. DOS 2, I spent way more time in, and I tinkered so much with like setting up traps with barrels and all the elemental stuff. So those are like games where I feel like that's absolutely the case. And I love interactive games like The Walking Dead, all the Telltale stuff I love. So to me, I think if the story is good enough, I can put up with gameplay I don't enjoy. But of course, it's better when they both hit on all cylinders, obviously.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I am big. I do like games that have a little more action pace to them, or obviously I'm a huge multiplayer guy, because that almost to me is like the story we create with our experiences online, which I love. And I'm a people person, so I like to, just hang out with everybody. And, but yeah, story is real big to me. I mean, there's obviously, you mentioned Red Dead. That's one where they just marry the two brilliantly, where the gameplay is phenomenal and the story, you're so drawn into it, and you just can't help yourself but just love it and fall in love with the characters, and then fall in love with how you move around the world. So yeah, I'd be interested to see, like, if the gameplay is not as good, if it's just a killer story, how I would feel about it.
Yeah, I'm like you, Ryan. I tend to gravitate more towards gameplay. It's funny because somebody actually kind of called me out for Red Dead not being in my personal top 10.
Betrayal.
And they were like, how could you? Like, this is a betrayal I can't stomach,
It is.
And then I told them, I was like, if you look at my top 10, it's much more of like the gameplay elements. I mean, obviously there's some very good story-based games there, but I'm like you in that I tend to want really, really good gameplay and story secondary to that. But I will say that an incredible story will absolutely stick with me for a really long time. And games that people go, what's one game that if you could erase from your memory and experience all over again? Almost always it's going to be a game where the story is incredible and it kind of carries you through that gamut of emotions at the same time. So, okay. Well, I think this is enough beating around the bush on this, guys. So that's enough teasing. I know the people are saying, okay, which host is it going to be? Which host is it going to be? Paul, it's going to be you. Ryan has a look of relief on his face. Okay, so Paul, and I touched on this, is that Ace is wanting to put you to the test on this, and I feel like Ace has been around for a long time. He's a very good friend of ours and the show at this point.
Oh yeah, he knows.
Yeah, and it's I like this because it is going to be the test for you, Paul, to say, is it true that good story can carry a game for you or not?
Okay, so I had a little bit of a feeling this might be the case because I have been on record as talking about how, especially like turn-based combat, I don't enjoy at all. And we're talking about RPGs. And if we're talking like great epic story and maybe gameplay elements that I wouldn't like, that's as I was hearing all that, I was starting to think, I think I might be the one chosen. So I'm not completely shocked.
Okay. I'm very curious. I will tell you this, not to just keep teasing things, but I told Ace when he told me it was you and he told me the game, I went, oh boy.
What does that mean?
Well, we're going to find out because we're going to go to break. And then when we come back, we're going to reveal what the game is that Paul is being forced to play.
If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
All right, we're back, everybody. We've been teasing it. Now, here's something that everybody doesn't know, is that I dropped off an envelope to each of you guys earlier today because Ace sent something to go along with this. So what I want you guys to do, I know this isn't the best, audio in the world, but go ahead and open your envelopes, and then Ryan, you'll read yours first.
Alrighty.
Paul, hang on to yours, but kind of get familiar with yours, Paul.
Man, Ace has sent us so much stuff.
He
over
really
the
has.
years.
I told Ace, I said, dude, I absolutely love this. I will say that Ace had a local or an artist commission for this. Ace also supports local artists and small time artists and stuff like that, which is really cool. So, Ryan,
I'm not looking yet. I'll wait till it's my turn.
Okay. Ryan's is just, it's not you.
It's handwritten.
So I couldn't spoil it. So I had to drive to Ryan's house to drop off an envelope for Ryan. Because I was like, if I bring Paul an envelope on the day that we're recording this, he's going to know it's him. So Ryan, you got the dummy envelope.
Awesome.
Paul, go ahead and open yours. Ace had this specially made for you.
Oh,
and
I was going to say, how funny would it be if I opened mine and it just said, "Just kidding, Josh, you're the one that's..."
That would have been great.
Okay, so Paul, go ahead and read the back of this. This is the game reveal as well. So go ahead and read this.
This is so cool.
Yeah,
all right.
It's really neat.
It's got
it's
some
very
art,
well
says,
done.
Take your heart.
Yep.
It looks awesome. And then I will say, Ace, this does look like a ransom note from a serial killer.
It's exactly what it's intended to look like.
Okay. That's what it looks like. Looks like we have your son meet us on this corner with $5 million. All
right, so go ahead and read this for everybody, Paul.
All right, it says, "To the one who has shut his heart to the joys of JRPGs, the one who claims the story is most important, yet shuns great tales such as this. That's right, Paul of the Video Gamers Podcast. We, the Phantom Thieves, have decided to steal your heart with some assistance of a legendary friend. We will save you from your current disposition by making you play Persona 5 Royal.
Oh.
It's time to start the game. The Phantom Thieves of Hearts and AceofShame." Wow, how cool is that?
It's really
That's
cool.
so cool.
And that card is legit. The artwork on that card, the way that the wording is written out on that. Okay, so I would be remiss if I did not announce my trolling of you guys to the world.
Sure. Why not? Go for it.
Because I was worried that you guys might have been on the trail a little bit, because the only clue that I gave either of you was that, hey, this is a big game. This is a giant video game, and we want to make sure that we have time for you to play it. And instantly, you two geniuses went to the internet and started looking up what are some of the longest games out there. And instantly, Paul is running through this list and actually mentions Persona
5.
And I was like, oh no! And then thankfully, you carried on. So I don't think you had that much of a clue. But what I did today is, in making the outline, I pretended to accidentally leave the title of the game, and I put Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth in there on purpose. And then Paul said, you might want to remove the title. And then I went, oh no. And I pretended like I accidentally left it in there to completely throw you guys off the trail.
Well, it worked.
It definitely worked. I definitely was not assuming it was Persona, so you didn't have to do anything. But the added trolling is the icing on the cake. It was very funny because I legitimately was like, I don't know if it's me or Ryan, but like Josh, you need to remove the name of the game because it might be right there.
I saw it right after. I was in the middle of a job, and we'll chat on our Discord sometimes, and I was looking at it, and I saw it immediately too, and I was about to type that, and then Paul typed it, and then I immediately went to Google, and I'm like, all right, here we go, let's look at this. Started researching it right away.
A little misdirection on my part. I'm sorry to troll you guys, but I had to keep the suspense and the surprise in there for you.
You do have fun with this.
I do. And I mean, I play into the fact that you guys think I'm dumb enough to leave the title in the outline by accident too. So
it was believable.
I'm not saying that I'm upset by that either. So, okay. So Paul, Persona 5 Royale.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the Persona series whatsoever?
I know that they are extraordinarily Japanese.
Yep.
That's honestly about it. I have definitely seen a lot of footage. I don't know that I could tell you any specifics like character names or anything like that. I know it's a much beloved series, but yeah, you are right in that I have never played any of the Personas.
I have not either, and I know Ryan has not.
Nope.
Now, I will say that when Ace picked this, I did ask him for the reason why he picked this. Just a quick little, sometimes we like to ask the our legendary people, hey, why'd you pick the host and why'd you pick this game? So Ace basically said, hey, yo, fellas, I'm sure you're surprised that I didn't pick Ender Lilies, but as I was listening back to older episodes, something caught my attention multiple times that Paul has always said the story is what matters most to him in games. And though the setting and gameplay of Persona 5 Royale may not be his usual cup of tea, I have a feeling the story will be something he will never forget, and hopefully this will open his horizons to a whole new world of games. Welcome to the new era of JRPGs, Paul.
Ooh, okay. And as I'm Googling this, it's making me more impressed with his letter more and more because apparently the Phantom Thieves and Stealing Your Heart, this is all stuff from the game that are references that are going right over my head.
Yes,
they will make a lot more sense
to you. Yeah, for people that have played it as well. Okay, so that is why Ace picked you. We kind of touched on that a little bit already. Okay, so I do have another little surprise for you guys.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Paul, what if I told you that when Ace initially told me about this game, that I picked it up and I've been playing it, and I'm about 12 hours in to this game already?
Are you just joking or are you being serious?
I'm 100% serious.
Oh, okay. That's very funny because I checked your Steam profile not long ago comparing our achievements in Pacific Drive. So I did not see that, so I wonder if you picked it up like right after, or I don't know if you can hide games.
I haven't
can you
played
hide
it in a
Steam?
couple weeks, so I knew that Helldivers and Pacific Drive would show as the recent games, and so I was not worried that you would see that on there.
Oh, okay, so you've been dabbling in it.
I'm about 12 hours in. Ryan's just flabbergasted right now. He's like,
it all makes sense now why you haven't been diving with me. And you just left me stranded.
I've been diving with you. Okay, so I will say this, Paul. How do you feel about anime? Do you watch any anime? Do you like anime? Because I will say in my playtime with this, and I'm not going to give any other information on this game other than that, I am a fan of anime, and as a fan of anime, I can definitely see that the anime, I don't even want to say influence because it's just straight like anime in a lot of parts and cutscenes and things like that in this game. So I'm curious, do you dabble in anime? How do you feel about that?
I don't really dabble in it. I wouldn't say I particularly like or dislike anime. It's just never really been in my circles. I never really had friends that loved it and I'd watch it with them or anything like that. Does Avatar: The Last Airbender count? I feel like that's sort of like anime.
Oh, that one's so good.
Yeah. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, I said I went through it during the pandemic for the first time, and I remember coming on the pod and saying, this is in my top 10 shows of all time. It's that good. So I think I would like it. I watched a little bit of Edge Runners, the cyberpunk anime.
I've heard that's great, which is crazy because I haven't seen that
I liked
yet.
it. Yeah. I watched 4 episodes and just kind of fizzled. So I would not say I'm a huge anime guy, but I'm not opposed to the idea.
Okay,
of it.
that's good because you're gonna get your taste of anime with this game. I won't share any of my thoughts on the game so far, other than that it is very much based on anime. Again, a lot of the cutscenes and stuff like that. And I didn't know what your take on that was. So, okay, so now that we know the game, we know it's Paul. We've had a couple little surprises, a little bit of trolling by me, which is to be expected at this point. Let me just pique your interest a little bit more, Paul. I know you're a big Metacritic guy. The Metacritic score...
I don't think I don't already have it up.
Oh, I know you did.
ahead.
But the Metacritic score for this game is a 95, which is
a Metacritic must play.
Astronomically high for a game. The user score is an 8.6, which is a little bit lower. I'll be honest, I'm not sure why that is, because if you go over to Steam, the user score on Steam is a 97% overwhelmingly positive score. And that's out of 41,000 reviews. So there is something here that really, really resonates with people.
Oh no. one of the top, I don't know if you pulled any community reviews or not, but one is a guy with 85 hours on record and it says just finished the tutorial.
Yeah. This is notoriously a very big game. Now, I will also say this just for the listeners and just for Paul's sanity. I did talk to Ace. There is no expectation whatsoever that you actually finish this game, Paul. This is a 100-hour RPG. I mean, if you happen to get sucked in, nobody's going to complain. But just understand that nobody is expecting that you're going to somehow blow through this game in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And come back and be like, okay, I finished it, guys. Like, I think more so Ace just wanted to see if the story does resonate with you and if you do kind of get sucked in and how you feel about things.
Poor Ace. Paul's going to break his heart.
I mean, you think so? Dude, there's a chance I might love it. I 100% will go into this trying to like it as much as I can.
It does note well with those scores. That's impressive.
Is this like actually known for having a fantastic story?
Okay, so I'll say this. I didn't want to spoil anything. I am very impressed with the story of this game so far, and I'm 12 hours in, which is touching a tenth of the game so far.
Oh wow!
But so far so good in that case.
Nice.
Hey, I just talked about how much I liked Edge of Nowhere out of all the Hijack hosts that we've done, and that's a game that had pretty mid gameplay, and the story carried it. So I'm all about this. 97% on Steam. That tells me if I don't like it, I'm in the very small minority. I have a feeling it's probably going to be pretty good.
Okay, well, since you're on the topic of story and a little bit more about this game, I found a really good write-up to this. And so the question was, what makes Persona 5 special over the other Persona games, which we know nothing about, but they kind of touch on some really good stuff that is actually unique to Persona 5 that I think might pique your interest a little bit. So I'm just going to read this. Polish. Now, there's some things that didn't get as polished as it could have, and there's some flaws, one rather glaring, but on the whole, it's a story that works. The themes in each of the Persona games have always been very strong, particularly the Persona 2 duology and on. Persona 2 was about reputation and how mistakes can haunt you, but do not have to define you. Persona 3 was about grief, apathy, and learning to appreciate life and not take any moment for granted. Persona 4 was about friendship, truth, and how those things can set you free. Persona 5 is about failure, societal failure, political failure in the form of corruption, and personal failure. Failure through bad luck, justice through legitimate themes in the world. Justice through legitimate themes has in this world become a hollow joke. The adults around them have become callous to the injustice and failure and are either unwilling or unable to do much of anything about the unraveling around them. Some even cheer it on, thinking it means security for them in the long term because it's safe. Many, not all, but many segments of society have become lazy in their thinking and willing to accept all of this as their lot in life, so they do not have to think about how they've been robbed or how they could be more than what they are. Due to these failures, each of the thieves and the confidants have lost their places in the world. They are in positions that they cannot escape on their own. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. People and systems that failed them. It happens. The world can seem unfeeling or actively cruel to the kind, beating down the innocent and taking advantage of the simple. The phantom thieves are the people who found the strength to say screw that. This, along with the well-executed visual direction, gorgeous menus, and slick acid jazz-drenched soundtrack with the astonishingly talented Lynn providing vocals to the standout tunes and incredibly agile scat to songs like Tokyo Daylight, just make the whole package sing.
Okay. I can get on board with that. It almost sounds a little bit like Robin Hood-esque. Where it's like the system is not doing it for the little man, so we're just gonna
stick it
take
to the
over
man.
and stick it to the man.
I'll say this, in my 12 hours of playtime, this game dives into some deep and somewhat dark places that exist in life for people, and I'm kind of wondering if that will resonate in the sense that the story is fairly gripping already. Like, I hate some of the characters, but it's like intentional. You know what I mean? Like, it's already grabbing me in that regard. So I like that there's like this kind of real world parallel to that. And that it's a game that's not afraid to face some difficult topics at the same time, which this game definitely does. I can tell you that right now. Like, you're going to start playing it, you're going to be like, whoa, like this game's going somewhere I didn't think it was going to go. It does get a little dark.
Okay.
So
can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
Did you play any? You said you did not play any Personas either before this.
I've never played a single Persona game,
and that's fine. We don't need to know character names.
No,
or
I think they're all
stories.
self-contained. To be honest,
okay.
I know Persona 3 Reload just came out not long ago, and people have really been loving that one. It's like a modern remake of Persona 3. But from my understanding, the Persona games are like each standalone. They're like parallel universes almost.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no, like, you don't need to look up prior story or anything like that. So, okay. So, Paul, we're nearing the end of this episode. What do you think, legitimately, your response to this game is going to be? Do you think you're going to enjoy it? Does it sound like, sorry, Ace, this one may not be my cup of tea? What do you think?
Okay, so if the story is really gripping, but let's say it's slow turn-based combat, which I don't even know how slow it is in this game. I'm sure I saw footage at some point. It just kind of went in my brain and then immediately left. I feel like at worst, it's going to be highly memorable. I'm guessing it's going to have some really interesting twists and turns in the story that are really going to drag it higher on my leaderboard. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to love it. I have also often said that when games are very like East Asian, that doesn't always jive with me. Like, I did not love the Bayonetta games or the other series that the same guy made. I can't remember the name now, but those games sometimes are hard for me to get into. And so even with action games that are very Eastern Asian, sometimes I struggle. So that might also get in the way of me liking it here. But I will say, if the story is fantastic, I have a feeling I'm going to be able to play a long time, even if I'm not loving the combat.
Yeah. I did tell Ace, like I said, I went, ooh. And then, and then I said, I don't know how this one's going to go, man. And he said, that's fine. You know, I mean, he does not have an expectation. And he's even said, like, Paul might hate this or he might love it. But I don't, you know, I don't know, man.
By the way, it's Devil May Cry. That's the other series that I couldn't get into. I knew it was
one of those over-the-top kind of stylized action type games, but I couldn't think of it either. So, okay, where do you think this is going to land on your leaderboard, Paul?
Oh, here we go.
I feel like in reading between the lines, Josh is warning me, and he's saying, "Paul, you're gonna hate it."
I don't know.
That's what I'm hearing.
Here's the. I'll say this: if you can get into the, I worry a little bit that the stylization is not going to resonate with you.
Sure.
The anime influence, I'm not sure how you're going to take it, and it is turn-based combat. You know, I can tell you that right now. And so there are things that I think might go, ooh, but this was the question at the top of the show. The story to me already is gripping, you know, and I care about these characters. I hate some of the characters, like but the game's just a little weird too, man. Like anime is, you know? And so I legitimately don't know. I don't know if you're going to hate it or if you're going to come back and be like, dude, this was phenomenal. Like, wipe my memory and let me experience it again, kind of thing.
Yeah,
All 100 plus hours.
there is something to be said for a game that just has such a story that you can dive into that, you sit down and the next thing you know, 3 hours have passed by. And you still kind of want to figure out what's going on next, but it's 12:30, in the morning, and you got to go to sleep because you got work the next day. So, yeah, that is good. I wish you the best, Paul, and I'm glad it's not me.
Thank you, Ryan. So when I look at my leaderboard, I'm just going to kind of cheat here and just say halfway down the list. That's my guess. Maybe I'll love the story, not so much the stylization. So I'm just going to throw out like 51. So like around Raft, Among Us, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, Ark. I think it'll probably be somewhere in that range.
Okay. In my opinion, if that's the case, that would mean you really like the story, but the gameplay doesn't land for you. And so they kind of sort of cancel each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's still a little bit high because these are still games that I really enjoy. I mean, we're also talking, this is in the range of Vermintide 2, Killing Floor 2, Shovel Knight, A Way Out. I love all those games. So, I think that's still high expectation.
Well, I'm going to continue to play, Paul. I make no promises as to how much more, but we do have I have a little bit of a gap in my gaming schedule right now. And so I actually do want to jump back into it because I haven't played it in a few weeks because I've been spreading democracy and driving through the Pacific Northwest. So I am actually going to dive back in. I will probably put in another 5 hours or so, and then kind of see where it goes from there. But I'll be able to talk about this with you a little bit when the time comes for us to come back and actually do the deep dive on this one.
Next thing you know, he's gonna crack out and have it done in.
I'm gonna be like, I beat it, guys, and they're gonna be like, no way.
What? The man who beats almost no games, I don't think is gonna stick with one of the most well-known longest games of all time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is it for this episode, guys. We're going to come back in 2 weeks to do the full deep dive on Persona 5 Royale. We will find out what Paul thinks of this game. We'll find out if it landed for him. We'll find out what didn't land for him if that's the case as well. But we will come back. We will do a full episode on this. I'm actually really excited. This game is absolutely beloved by a lot of people. Is it going to land with us? We're going to find out.
And we want to say thank you once again to AceofShame. I mean, Ace is one of our longest, biggest supporters of the show. He has sent us so much like swag and Christmas gifts and support on Patreon. We really appreciate you, Ace. You're our friend for life.
Yeah.
Outside of any of this support. So
you hear that, people?
We really appreciate you and having you around.
You can buy our love.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Ace is awesome. We love having him around. All right. And then just so our listeners are reminded, make sure to go check out multiplayersquad.com. Go look at Patreon options, especially if you want to hijack an episode like Ace did. And make sure to rate our show 5 stars and leave a written review. And until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.
All right. See you, everybody.